guys, this is what I'm here with. So we're doing this panel to get folks involved, and here's my problem with everything that's been said. Almost everything that's been said, as a white guy, I'm looking at you guys who have street cred, and almost every strategy that you've talked about would exclude me being involved, because I didn't grow up here. I don't understand what's going on with these. And I'm playing devil's advocate, James. All right, so you know where I'm coming from. But what is going on? Like, I don't know if you guys saw, John Oliver did a piece on police brutality. And at the end, there's this 1 minute tirade that this woman, I think in Minneapolis, goes off on. And she says the social contract has been ripped up. There is no social contract. When the people that are supposed to protect us are killing us, we don't feel social contract. Social contract says if I drop something on the ground, I pick it up because I own this. I'm responsible for it. Is there an alienation that our communities feel from majority culture communities? And is that part of what is going on? Because a lot of folks would say, hey, the opportunities are there, right? I've had guys tell me they've gone to the basketball court with 40 job applications. All you have to do is come sign up. Guys are playing ball, drinking 40s, smoking, the whole scene, right? And they come back an hour later and all the job applications are on the ground blowing in the wind, right? So where is the disconnect? Is it a lack of opportunity, or is there something about the runway from where these guys are living to the opportunity that hasn't been built?
Brother Jay, man, I can relate to what everybody's saying, but definitely what Brother Jay says as far as the relationship building. And when it comes to that piece right there, I'm not going to lie to you. I get highly offended when you have different organizations or entities coming into the neighborhood and just basically just totally just disregard their lifestyle, their mental capacity, their whole situation. I get it. You can come with 500 applications and you can come with a big van with the news media and everybody out, but you're so displaced in issues and what's going on that it's not effective. You have no relationship with the community. You don't even understand where their mental capabilities are at. And then when you're talking about jobs and resources and stuff like that, they only go so far. Because when you offer these guys these things, one of the main things you have to understand is, will they be able to work this job? What community or what area is it in? These guys have segregated themselves in such a way where they can't leave out their neighborhood. So now if you have 40 job applications to where they're able to work in their respective communities, that's a different language. You know what I'm saying? But they're treating this issue as mainstream. You see what I'm saying? Like, you can just come in, offer these guys something, and they're going to take it, and that's it. And that's not the case. You have to put the work in from day one, literally getting out on the ground, listening, talking, laughing, meeting the family, building those relationships. And then once you really, really understand the demographics of your neighborhood, then you can be able to place people where they need to be, times this community, times that community, times that community, times that community. So that's one of the reasons why all the applications are sitting there on the floor, because, it's like, well, it's only going to go so far, and then it's like, who's going to really be that? Who's going to be that Brother Jay? You know what I'm saying? Or that Donovan Price or that Kevin Taylor to actually go out and make sure that those applications are filled out and then executed. That, so that's just one of them.
So Ralph, that sounds like it's really time consuming.
It is time consuming because you have to do your homework. Mm-hmm. It's not that easy, because if that was the case, I have 1,000 jobs. You know, I have 1,000 places for these guys to go. You know what I'm saying? But it's the displacement. You know, that's one of the main things. And you want to take in consideration that these guys have been in the community and they're dealing with a lot of issues, man. So it's like you have to work around them. You have to work around them and make it suitable and comfortable mentally, you know, so for them to really, really understand what they have right there in front of them. But if it's like a come and go, stop and pop, hi and bye, sometimes I see you, sometimes I don't, it's not consistent. So it goes in one end right out the other. That's what I mean by the disinvestment in a lot of black men, you know, really, really getting back out here and helping us for real, because it's hard.
Scott,
Yeah.
When Jesus was healing the blind man, he healed the man's eyes, but then the man, and when he healed the man's eyes, technically the blindness is gone. However, the man then said to Jesus, he said, yeah, I can see, but everything looks like trees walking. Everything looks crazy to me. And then Jesus went back and healed his sight. In other words, he healed his problem, but then there was an underlying problem of knowing what you're looking at. And so to give someone a job application, but then not give them not teach them or make sure that you know them well enough to speak their language, to give them you can give them a job application, but to give them the application of a job in their life. In other words, where does the job apply to what I'm doing right now? Where does it fit in? So you give them a job application, but don't give them give them the application of having a job and how that fits in their life. Then that's where you need to do it. And most people don't even take the time to speak the language. Whenever somebody spoke in tongues in the Bible, it says that there should be an interpreter there. Or in another portion, it says that when they did speak in the different tongues, nobody really knew what anybody was saying, but there was somebody else who spoke, who understood. And so we need to match those up, work with those, attempt to speak the language, realize that because that person is not speaking like you, and when I say speaking, I mean thinking, I mean dressing, I mean hair, the whole thing. Just because that person is got something else going on, perhaps you need to learn that language and why that language is there in the first place before you go attempting to boilerplate the situation.
Yeah, so that's discipleship and mentoring, and that's precisely what UR Chicago does, and that's what James Crockett's ministry does, and some of what we do at TC. That's hand holding, walk alongside of, and doing all the things that a dad would normally do with their kids in the home that they didn't get.
Yeah. So Kevin, you want to speak to that? I mean, we just threw you. If you don't dunk this, bro.
Sure. No. Yeah. No. I was waiting. You know, I'm always patient to communicate, to let my brothers speak. But when the Lord gives us an opportunity, we voice our opinion. So this is in the vein of what we do, what I do, what I feel God is calling us as a community to do. But I think there's a number of issues that we've overlooked, and I do want to address them. And a lot of times when I address some of these issues, coming from the church, they may seem divisive, but that's actually counter to what we're trying to accomplish, right? If you look at organizations in our community, right, being paid all this money to service our community, what does the leadership look like? Where is the indigenous leaders from our community being given the money and whatnot to actually do the work? Because, right, I was born and raised in Cabrini, and in the housing projects, you have this same issue, right? It's not an issue. This is just the way it is. When folks get on their feet, right, the guys who go to college, get the job, they up and they leave this community, right? So your leaders are absent of a community, right? So you have these problems festering in our community, absent a leader in our community, right? And so what has to happen is indigenous leaders have to be supported. Ralph was getting at the heart of it, right? There's some disinvestment that happens historically, systemically, right? When you think about, even when I address a church, what percentage of ministries do you support that are led by indigenous leaders, right? Because the indigenous leaders, like a brother like Ralph or Donovan or James Crockett in the community, if they don't get the support that they need to actually do this work, right, you're going to continue to see the violence happening, right? But when you support a ministry from guys in the community, right, when you support that, what you're showing the guys in the community is that, yes, I can actually lead too. I have an example of leadership in front of me, right? And the way he loves his wife and his family and his kids and he served, I can do that too. So with that's one of the issues, right? So sometimes organizations come in the community and they take the lead, right? And so we walk through a training, when help and hurt. How do you come in the community and not hurt the community? How do you help a community and not hurt them? Well, if you come into a community and there are existing leaders, why don't you get behind an existing leader and support their mission? Because if you support their mission, you will see James has the relationship already. Donovan has a relationship already. Ralph has relationships in the community, right? And they just can't get the funding to expand, right? To do all the programming that they need to do, right? What happens is there's a vacuum that happens when you don't support these ministries or these organizations, when you don't buy black, when you don't spend your dollars over here, the stakeholders lose, and then the community ultimately lose, right? So at US Chicago, what we try and do is we try and train the church on how do you come in and help without hurting. We try to train businesses. How do you come in and help without hurting, right? And as you start to do that, you start to understand that there's a unity that happens in our community, right? There's a learn that you get when you sit under an indigenous leader that you're not going to get anywhere else. You're not going to get it. You're going to come in, like Ralph said, with your book smarts, but you don't have the relationship. And so at UR Chicago, we are always looking to say, how do we disciple in this space? How do we teach that, yeah, if there's some things that cross-culturally you can come in and say that scars this relationship for the rest of your life. You're probably not going to be able to reconcile that relationship. This is a controversial space to be in, but it needs to be said. When you go to Ethiopia, when you go to Kenya, when you go to Shanghai, any other country, right? When you go to those spaces in other continents, Africa, right? You learn the language, you learn the culture of the people you're trying to serve and help, right? It would be a disservice if you just made up an idea in the United States that I'm going to bring something over to this country without consulting anybody and saying, we know you need this. There's a systematic issue there that needs to be addressed with how funding is dispersed, right? There's some inequities in how people are viewed as far as leadership is concerned. And so I think, Scott, to get to the heart of your question, right? I think folks can do it from all backgrounds. Like a white man can come into our community if he understands these key things, right? How do you come in and support? How do you bring your network in and support and show love to the community? Because ultimately, your organization is going to transplant in, and then you're going to transplant out, right? And so maybe you serve Monday through Friday, right? But Saturday and Sunday, you're going to see gunplay like you've never seen before. And the people you've been trying to reach, right? They're in this community. This is the way of life for them. So temporarily, you might feel like you're making an impact, but you're going home to a different space, right? Where you need to support people who are 24/7 in the community. When you go to the gas station, you run into your mentor. When you go into the grocery store, you're running into them. You're like, man, we just talked about you hanging with those wrong guys, man. Let's get it together, bro. We got opportunities, right? And then with jobs, getting back to jobs, like we push for a living wage job. We don't push for regular jobs, right? We are UR Chicago, and our mission is to provide living wage jobs. That means jobs that you can save, that you can pay all your bills, that you can invest, that you can go on vacation, that you can live. And it takes a whole lot of stress off of you as a provider when you have a living wage job. Living wage jobs don't come by easy. It takes work, and people who are in this struggle, in this fight, to understand the importance, if I provide a living wage job or opportunity for someone in this community, how they're now going to be the philanthropist in the community, how they're going to be the leader in the community, how they're going to be able to donate now their time, right, their energy. They can volunteer now because they don't have to spend 70 hours a week just basically trying to provide for their family. So it's super important to start to tap on some of these small issues, structural issues, because there's systematic issues that need to be addressed. And I am not overlooking the fact of individual responsibility. I will hammer away when I'm talking to my guys in my community. Yes, you got to make better decisions. Yes, if you see a trap right there, you walk into a trap, whose fault is it, right? Yes, right? We communicate all that, but at the same time, we have to hold the other side, right? Our economy, our political structure, all of those things, our government, we have to hold all of that accountable, right? Because if we don't, we're focusing on one problem and we're missing the other, which continues the cycle.
Good
I
word.
want to say something. I want to
Yeah,
say
good
something
word.
real quick too, man. It's a human aspect to this too. You know what I'm saying? It's a human aspect to this. You know what I mean? We do relate to each other, whether you black, white, or Puerto Rican. You know what I'm saying? We do. It's a million ways we can relate to each other as a human being. You know what I mean? So I just want to, when people talk about help without hurting and all that, you know what I'm saying? Everybody got something to give. I never exclude, you know what I'm saying, anybody from from a different culture to come in and say like, oh, you ain't got nothing to give, you know what I'm saying, like whatever. So I encourage them. I say like, you have something to give that I can't give to, you know what I'm saying, the people even in my community. You know what I'm saying, experience that, you know what I'm saying, that you can give a mother-like figure, or a father or a brother-like figure, you know, that you can be, because we have the same emotions. You know, I get sad, I get angry. We might have some of the same belief system. You know what I'm saying? To find those commonalities, you know what I'm saying, is one of the ways for other people of other cultures to come into our community and blend in. Other people do have things to give and they can invest in our community in ways that we can't outside of money. You know what I mean? And I just think that's very, very important, because when I oftentimes think about my boy Adam Pennington and my boy Josh Nordike, you know what I'm saying, Caucasian brothers, you know what I'm saying, in Christ, and they in the community, they in the block, they build a relationship just as well as I am. You know what I'm saying? They probably never experienced, you know what I'm saying, these systemic issues and stuff like that, but they see them and they understand it. And sometimes that's all our brothers need to hear. You know what I'm saying? That also give our brothers and our sisters in our community hope when they see that a Caucasian brother see that the system is disrupted and dysfunctional. You know what I'm saying? And to say, look, I see this with you. I'm on your side. I'm going to fight with you to get past it. You want people like that on your team, you know what I'm saying, that can get into those circles where they can really fight for us. You know what I'm saying? When we're not able to get in there and say, I see this systemic issue, I'm going in, you know what I'm saying, I'm finna run for Congress, I'm gonna run for whatever, or mayor or governor, you know what I'm saying, to deal with some of these issues. You know what I'm saying? We have to utilize, we got to understand that every person got a role. Everybody can learn and understand. They may not experience, but they can learn and understand the reality of what's going on in our community and can see well enough to help fix and bring the change that we need. So like, while we doing this, like I say, I got my brother Adam Pennington doing the same thing I'm doing. You know what I'm saying? Building relationship with these guys, going, working out, inviting their families over to their house for barbecues, going over to their house, sitting in their crib, you know what I'm saying, in the hood, sitting in their crib, or in a trap house, sitting in their crib, ministering to them. You know what I'm saying? Like, build a relationship. And Adam, you know what I'm saying, like, I've been like having to handle the business aspect of my organization right now. And Adam Pennington been the one on the front lines, going visiting the guys in the hospital, going visiting the guys in jail. Like, cause I can't, I'm handling the business aspects of things right now. And I need that support. You know what I'm saying? What troubles me too is like, I would like for a brother to play that role that Adam played. You know what I'm saying? And I understand the effectiveness of that, but like right now it's not. So like he, you know what I'm saying, is the best
He's
thing.
getting it
You know what
done.
I'm saying? Right, he's getting it done.
Yeah. And so, guys,
Yeah.
we're
Yeah.
at
Go
3
ahead.
we're at 3 o'clock here, and I'm just going to interject this. One thing that so Charlie Dates, he's a pastor on the south side of Chicago. I was working on this idea for a documentary. I was like, what should I read? He sent me to a book about Mayor Daley. It was really interesting in that book when they started the war on poverty. One of the stipulations for the war on poverty was that people from the community were creating the policy. But Daley would not let that happen. And for like 20, 30 years, actually, Chicago was not qualified for any CHIA federal money for housing because they weren't in compliance with allowing Black folks to have a voice about the policy that was being done in their communities, right? And Daley dealt with it by just calling up the president and saying, do you want to be elected or not? Because I can guarantee Illinois for you, you know? And that always really struck me because it gets to the core of kind of what popped up today, which is my brothers from the neighborhood have been teaching me for years. You got to learn and you got to get behind those that know, right? And there's plenty of a place, in my experience as a white guy. There's a definitely a space when you give your life as a living sacrifice to God, He's going to figure out how to use you, you know. But I think the reason I was talking about that because I've had so many guys from the block tell me, Scott, I'm scared of white people. Not you, but I'm scared of white people. Well, how are you going to get a job if you're scared of white people, right? Anywhere you go work, there's going to be white people, right? And that's part of what I love about what You Are Chicago does is they put people in relationships first with folks from the workforce who are already in that culture, the workforce culture, so that they have an ally in that culture that can tell them about what's going on. And then our leaders, become the culture teachers to a lot of times what are our white folks from the suburbs and stuff. And so this cross-cultural learn helps bridge the divide between these two worlds. And I think what's really clear, guys, that everybody said is there is a divide between these two worlds, and you need to have an interpreter to bridge the divide.
Absolutely.
And I would say, I mean, maybe everybody can raise their hand. How much funding goes towards the interpreters right now? Is that where the money is going, in your opinion? How many Ralphs are funded, and Donovans are funded, and Jameses are funded? What percentage of the budgets we put, or the $100 million we put into violence prevention, are putting people on the block who are from the block and can interpret the block, right? I'll let you guys do your research. I would guess it's not very much, right? Which might be part of the problem. I just want going out. This is a tough ask, guys. But build us a runway. All right, build us a runway. You got the money. Pretend you have the money. We can take the city's money and put it where you guys want it. Build us a runway out of this. What does it look like? 2 or 3 things that would need to be a part of it to get us from where we're at now to where we need to be. Throw something at us.
Well, first of all, I think we got to restructure the police department, both the current police strategies as well as the police academy. So we got to retrain the police and fix the things that are broken with the police, as well as fix the systems that are broken with the state's attorney's office, the prosecutors. Hey, sweetie pie. And then we got to get more men like James that have 5 or 6 babies and 1 wife. So, I mean, 7, right, James? 7 now? So, right. So I think we gotta fix some of those systems like policing and the court system, justice system, systemic issues that we need to identify and fix those things. I think we got to fix the welfare system some more. And then we got to promote families. We got to promote families, Black and brown families, marriage. We got to promote marriage and family. The #1 indicator in our country for poverty is divorce or unwed mothers and fathers, children born into unwed situations. That's the #1 indicator for poverty. And so we've got to promote marriage and family, because if you have marriage and family, you're going to help rise up out of poverty. And so those are some runways that I think we've got to build to have a more beloved community.
I agree with Pastor Allen. I would also add to that investment. I think in our communities, if you look at the spending power of Black folks alone, right? $1.5 trillion a year, is it? $1 billion? What? Ridiculous amount of wealth in our communities, right? What I know to be true is, coming up in Cabrini, before the drugs hit, right, and before the gangs took and went to a whole different direction, it was a safe environment, right? Look at our west side, when folks came from the south to the south side and west sides of Chicago. In certain communities, bringing family values to community. Our community was safe, right? We had thriving neighborhoods. We had thriving businesses, right? We supported ourselves. Right now, the Black dollar does not circulate in our community, right? So there's an education that has to happen that we can take care of our issues, right? We can take care of our issues. We love support from everywhere else, but when we get some support from everywhere else, we feel like we don't have the ability to provide for ourselves, right? And so I think of some independence and some education on how do we spend our dollars, how do we invest our dollars, right? Supporting small businesses that hire men in our community that then turn and start another business, right? And another business, right? So I think one, individual responsibility wise, right? We start to care for ourselves. We start to understand that it's okay to love ourselves and invest in ourselves. 2, systematically, right? From a system standpoint, I agree with what James was saying at the end, right? We have to look at these laws that are inequitable, right, to our brown and Black communities, right, that disadvantage folks, the prison, right, the laws that allow folks to be locked up, the preschool to prison pipeline, right? Like, all of this has to do with structural issues that I think we need to address one by one, starting a support group, a task force group that actually, with intentionality, with education, start to address some of these issues that are actually intentionally plaguing our community, whether they're voting right issues, whether they're all these things, right? We need to start addressing, creating a task force that addresses these systematic issues from being supported, but also educationally as well. So those will be a couple of things that I think are practical steps we can do to start to see our community change.
One other thing I would add, we need to have a Truth and Reconciliation Committee like South Africa did.
Yeah.
I think that would go a long way in beginning some racial healing in our country.
That's a good word. Ralph, James, Donovan, runway. What you got for us?
I have a long runway. I have a long runway. I don't even know where to begin, man. But I think one of them, One would be COPA, having community insight, so on any and everything that has anything to do with the Chicago Police Department, for one, just for us to move further, move on in society. I think, especially because of trust issues and a lot of stuff is going on throughout the country, they need to eliminate the code of silence. You know what I'm saying? For one, they need to dumb down on a lot of issues that they have going on, and they want the community to adjust to this aggressive system, that's going on right now. Two, building grassroots leaders, from the ground up, education-wise, from a youth standpoint, to be able to educate them as far as political issues and things of that nature. So when we are in the voting process, or we tend to get into any of that, we would definitely have some grassroots leaders that serve the same self-interest that we have, to be able to get them into office, to be able to push some of the issues that we have going on in our community. Another one is having 2/3 of corporate America pay 1% tax, which they don't do. You know what I'm saying? And that's one of the reasons why I've gotten to the political side of things, is because I needed to hear the jargon. I needed to see the relationships. I needed to see the demise, from a leadership standpoint, and see the trickle down effect, and see where it starts and where it stops at, and see what the problem is. You know what I'm saying? So, when we're talking about financial issues, we need to tap into that too, because a lot of these issues can be resolved if there was a cap on a lot of stuff that was going on in the city of Chicago, spending wise. I don't know, man. It's just like infrastructure. You know what I'm saying? Like making sure that money is spent in areas that need to be spent in. Like quit spending millions and millions and billions of dollars in Wicker Park when you know that Inglewood is a impoverished area. You need to build infrastructures that's gonna tackle the 21st century. It's gonna tackle 2021, 2025 trades. The latest technology, things of that nature. Like it has to be a reinvestment on my runway for my community, for my community to actually start to come from up out of the gutter and really see it for what it is. When they see the investment, then they will have no problem latching on to the opportunities that's there.
Good word.
Thanks, Ralph. James?
Yeah, my thing is, man, I believe in interdependence. You know what I mean? That we all need one another. That moving forward, we can't do anything without the other person. That everybody is necessary. You're a billionaire, you need an accountant, a bank to hold your money. Somebody gonna break in your career and rob you. You know what I mean? Like independence is like a loaded word to me. But interdependence, I think that's how God designed us to flourish together. And so, like, I agree with Pastor Allen, because it's like we have to have dialogue about the ups and downs, the ins and outs of systemic issues, or and just like have a truth conversation about what it means to reconcile, sharing, different views, whether they may come off a little offensive or not, whether they be true or not, whether it's an assumption or whatever it is. I think these conversations is very vital to moving forward and doing anything, because if you're not communicating and you're not understanding, then nothing to me is not going to get done anyway. You got to be the beginning of my runway, relationship building, talking about social issues, being open and transparent about what we feel, what we think, what we view, and then bringing those views, those ideas or whatever under light of the truth of what's really going on. And then once we get the truth, everybody work towards that truth. And then that's when you're going to start resolving all this issues around in the United States in general, not just Black individuals, but Latino individuals. If you look at what's been going on since George Floyd, man, I thank God for my white brothers and sisters. You know what I'm saying? That they, you know what I'm saying, like they getting beat. You know what I'm saying? If you look on the news, white people getting beat by the police with the batons too. You know what I'm saying? In defense of what we, the stuff that we suffer. They didn't have to do that. They could have, like in time past, they could have ran it into their shelter place, you know what I'm saying, and stayed behind the scene and just threw a prayer up for us, you know what I'm saying? Like, but they didn't do that. They came out and they sacrificed their own lives, you know what I'm saying, in support of our lives. So I just don't want that to go unnoticed, man. It's like, because I love humans. I love people. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm concerned about everybody. You know what I'm saying? But it's just like right now, it's like my black brothers and sisters are going through something, and I'm concerned about them. Mm-hmm. And they getting treated unfairly. You know what I'm saying? We're getting treated unfairly. You know what I'm saying? And it's not right, man. It's just not right. And we need to fix this once and for all. We got the people, we got the network. You know what I'm saying? Let's make it happen, man. While I'm getting paid, you know what I'm saying, to run this organization, I got 4 other brothers in my community that I can't pay. You know what I'm saying? That'll be a great investment if I could get some money poured into them. You know what I'm saying? To pay them to be on the corner with me, with the voice, showing these guys something different, man. Like, I'll pray for that. I need that, man. I need that. I tell brothers in my community, I say, I cannot do this without you. I need you. We need Black leadership. Our community needs to see more brothers stand up, you know what I'm saying? Drop all the garbage, you know what I'm saying, and help me show them another way. Mm-hmm. I'm one brother Jay. That's just one route. Like, it's a lot going on, man, and like I'm tired of talking about it. I got to see this crap every single day, single day, and they crying out, like they crying out. You know what I'm saying? You get these brothers behind the door, bro. They crying, brother Jay. I don't want to do this. I keep on telling people that they want the way out. They really do. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? Like, we need people. You know what I'm saying? Everybody. We need everybody to see this need. Listen to their voices coming from me. I want out. I don't want to do this. I'm scared, brother Jay. Listen to that. Listen to that. How I'm supposed to feed my family, brother Jay? You know what I'm saying? My daughter needs shoes, clothes, food. How I'm supposed to do that, brother Jay? So they not just saying this to me. They saying it to me to get the message out to you. What can I do? Mm-hmm. What can you do to help me get there? It's not even like no handout. It's like, you know, it's just like, man, just give me a foot up, man. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, man, it's just like, it's discouraging, man. I'm getting sick of it, bro. It's like, you know, it's not just affecting, it's affecting everybody around us, man. Even in these suburbs, man. You know what I'm saying? I see their kids on the block. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's not gonna just affect the Black community. It's affecting your community too. I see your kids on the block. Like, what you doing up here? You ain't got no business around here. You know what I'm saying? Your white kids is up here, drugging.
Wow.
Hanging out, you know what I'm saying, on the corner. I'm saying, like, they up here. Go ahead,
you know,
bro.
I can relate to that. I can definitely relate to that. I can hear it in your soul, man. You know what I'm saying? Because every day, man, I'm saying it's just crazy when I see like the guys' sons out here, and I double back on the fathers, and I'm like, man, you know your son just did this, or your son is this. You know what they say? You got him. Got him.
Wow.
And I'm like, but you they daddy though, man. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, but man, they're not listening to me, man. You have a better influence on them than I do. And then when I turn around and I talk to them, they tell me the same thing. Like, you know, we're looking up to a person like you or a brother Jay. You know what I'm saying? Because you guys, we can see, have the confidence, have the courage. It's in your soul. And I know if there's anybody, man, that can help us out of this when we're ready to, it's going to be you guys, man, because of the relentless engagement, because of the non-judgmental aspect of things, us being in there and actually relating from a mental aspect of things. You know what I'm saying? And that's the frustrating part is when I'm advocating and I'm speaking on the cameras and I'm talking behind closed doors to politicians because I'm hearing like basically try to eradicate them or eradicate a whole community based off of assumptions or small issues. And that's far from the case when I know things can be changed or turned around dramatically. And that's one of the reasons why I never give up, because I feel deep down in my soul that it's only a matter of time. And I mean, like yesterday, you know what I'm saying, that guys will actually get it together, given that opportunity, and it's highlighted to the magnitude that it is. And I have I have thousands of white friends. And that's another reason why I do the work that I do. I interact with them, and I take that same energy back to my community for the ones who feels displaced because of the racial tension, you know. And I let them know that we have so many people that's in support of y'all. Don't believe social media. Don't believe the media. Don't believe like what a lot of people are saying. You get what I'm saying? Like, you have more people in your community that's supporting you more than you actually think. You get what I'm saying? So, you know, when I'm with my white friends, you know, I definitely know when they ask like, well, what is it? What can we do? What can we do? And I tell them, well, you know, me and Brother Jay, Kevin, we all on the front line. You know what I'm saying? Let's once you use your white privilege, you know what I'm saying, to push the agenda behind closed door so it coincides with the same language in the conversation when we meet face to face. You know, and when we're in the community and when we bring that energy in, and when the community actually see the power, see the back end that we have, and it's the continuous effort is what's going to help change this whole thing around. But when you have people that come into the neighborhood, peeking, looking, and then they disappear, you know, I'm saying, me and Brother Jay, we left out there 12, 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock in the morning, risking our life to try to make sure that these guys get back home, because we know they got babies, man. We know they babies, that you know, and stuff like that, man. And that is what I have to live with every day, knowing that I went home and I'm touching my kids, and I made sure that I don't care if gang, whatever it is, y'all went home and touched y'all kids and ate and sat down and did the same thing, and we live to see another day. We wake up and we tackle this issue again, you know what I'm saying? But we maintain our composure as much as possible as men. You know, we talk amongst each other. You know, we try to keep a lot of things in house. You know, to not to try to rev, you know, our ugly side, because we're human. You know what I'm saying? Then you got to understand, you know, it was all designed like this too. For the record, there's no mental health facilities or none of that stuff. So when you got these kids that's in the midst of these shootings, you know, and I'm actually seeing a guy brains on the ground, I don't even really too much pay attention to the guy that's really on the ground. I look at the kids. I look at the little babies. Yeah, and they're actually looking at it, and then, you know, they just walk off. And whatever decision they come up with, that's the decision they come up with. And if you don't tackle that mental aspect of things, then this is where it keeps going, it keeps going, it keeps going. Because not only is the daddy over in the corner either getting arrested or saying, excuse my language, F this or F that or F this, you have parents that's not highly educated, that don't understand that their kids is right there looking at them, and they're saying F this and F that and F that. And you have the police. It's a domino effect. It's a domino effect, and that's the pressure, that's the frustration, but that's also the passion and the yearning and the love and the fun part about doing a job that I'm doing, that we doing, is because we know that these guys are crying on our back, and we know it's only a matter of time before we get the things that we can get to actually show them the real side of things. But that's all I got.
Well, I just want to thank Ralph, man, for real, because it means a lot, man, just to have, you know what I'm saying, to hear that come from, you know what I'm saying, another brother, man, because sometimes, you know, you feel like you by yourself, man. Just to have brothers like you know what I'm saying, doing what you doing is just like really encouraging. But sometimes it do feel like it's in vain sometimes, you know, even though you see changes, but you don't see the changes you want to see. It gets discouraging, you know what I'm saying? But it's, Yeah, thank you for just like encouraging me and uplifting me, you know what I'm saying?
Thank
Just
you.
like I'm serious, bro. Like I needed to hear that today, man. So thank you, man. Appreciate
And
you.
thank you too, man.
Yeah, no problem. It's all good.
No
Dr.
doubt.
Price, what you got?
I just I'm kind of in a different situation, than a lot of folks. I think when things go wrong, when those brothers don't make it home to their families, then there's me. you know, I sometimes people joke with me, and I joke back with them, and say that everybody else is working to put me out of work. I'll say this. Once you've kissed the forehead of a 3-year-old with a hole in her chest, then you look back at everybody behind you that led up to that point, and all you can do is after placing your foundation of prayer is look at them like look at her. When I was wiping the blood from the mother of the 20-month-old, the 1-year-old last Saturday, as she went to and fro going crazy, and I used my little sweat towel that I always keep with me to dry her blood, and the blood she had from the baby on her, and the blood still coming out of her head from the grazed wound in her head. While I was doing that in front of St. Bernard Hospital, unbeknownst to us or anybody, not far away was a 3-year-old having a birthday party for her. They had a birthday party for her 3rd birthday. And it was a great little party from what I understand. And then 2 days later, I am now wiping the blood off of that 3-year-old's mother. We've got a lot of work to do. I told Scott when he first mentioned this to me, I said, well, I'm on a different end of things. But I know that everything you all say is extraordinarily true, because, like I said, when things don't go quite right, I'm there, and you can't help. Nobody wishes that things would go right more than me. It's the pain level, the trauma level, the hopeless level. I swim in that, and I just want you all to know that there's somebody who's praying for you all at 3 a.m, Ralph, and that you all get home to your kids, because I don't want anybody to get to me. I want them to get to you all. I want them to get to Kevin. I want them to get to James. I want them to get to Ralph. I want them to get to Mike Allen. I want them to get to Scott. I don't want to see them. I don't want to see anybody you know. That's kind of crazy to say to folk, but I don't want to see anybody y'all know. And you all don't want me to see anybody you all know. Last Saturday, while I had the Saturday before that, or days before that, I saw a dead 3-year-old. I saw a dead 13-year-old little girl. I saw a dead 15-year-old. I saw a dead 17-year-old within a 2.5-hour span. And was standing over the 13-year-old when she took her last breath, and they pronounced her. It can happen. Greg Zanis, who made the crosses for losses, who died, said to me, he said the problem with Chicago, Donovan, is that everybody has one answer. And I added to that, how can you pass the ACT and move on to the next level if all you got is one answer? Well, the fact of the matter is, if you get together with that person and y'all share, like James got excited about Ralph, and they get together and his answer and his answer, and Kevin got some answers, and Scott got some answers that some white folks could get that the black folk couldn't get, maybe, and Michael Allen got some answers that a dignified, Harvard-sounding, Obama-sounding brother like him have, that ain't nobody else got, and you put all that together, then maybe we can pass this test and move on to the next level. And so this is the runway. The runway begins with this, with people who are willing to build the goddamn runway in the first place.
Amen, brother. Amen. Hey, Donovan, I just want to say, man, like, seriously, like, I do, man, I really appreciate you. I met you before, man, and you are most definitely God saying. It's a very, very unique thing that God is doing in your life, and you, yeah, he's most definitely using you in ways that need to be used, man. Yeah, man, I'm praying for you, and I'm thinking about
praying for you as well.
To bring somebody around you too, man. You know what I'm saying? Because I think you're not supported at all the way that you need to be supported. So, yeah.
Well, guys, I'm gonna wrap it up. So I just want to talk to everybody that's made it through this. I'm gonna edit this. When we teach our class, I work with Kevin. We teach helping without hurting. I do a section where I talk about Indigenous leadership, and I think what I see here, guys, hey, we got the leaders. There they are, right? We got them. They're here. You know, we just got to get with them. And what I tell people is 0 is one of the most powerful numbers, because when you put a 0 next to a 1, it becomes a 10. And when you put 2 zeros next to a 1, it becomes 100. And for some of us, we've got to come next to guys like this and be zeros, so that we multiply their work. And there's no, I love what we're learning today. There's no easy, hey, sign up for this program, write a check to this. Just come and be a 0 and stand next to these guys. I know all of them. They're the most successful. I'm getting to know Ralph. I love him already. That's the real conversation today that I've ever had with him. But these other guys, they are the most accessible guys you will ever meet, right? You can jump into life with these guys. And so I invite you to do that. And you actually can do that tonight. We are going to be back here at 10 o'clock tonight at Willie B. White, 10 to midnight. We've been having a lot of shootings this week in our community. And I want the ops to show up and see 50 people out doing church at 10 o'clock at night and turn around and drive home. Or I want our guys to see 50 people out praising the Lord and decide to go home and sleep it off. So there's nobody to shoot when guys show up. And I know Donovan has gone with 1 or 2 people to Rough Corners and Englewood and chase the whole thing away in like a couple of nights. God is in that, man, when we show up. So we're going to be back here tonight at 10 o'clock. We'll be back here tomorrow night at 10 o'clock, Sunday night at 10 o'clock. And my hope is I'm putting together a group of people that will be out every night, all summer long, so that all these guys that we're talking about, when they show up, they see Chicago has shown up to be zeros next to them and multiply them and push them wherever they need to go, one guy at a time. And so that's what I'm asking for you guys. It might not be easy to plug in, but it also might be super easy. You just gotta show up. So Kevin, Donovan, James, Ralph, it is no joke when I say to you guys, you guys are my heroes for real. And God has so blessed me that I get to be friends with my heroes, you know, that I get to be friends with my heroes. There's guys I admire, see on TV or listen to on YouTube. But really at the end of the day, I got so much more respect for these guys, and God's let me be their friend. And you know, I think some of you guys, they'll be your friend too if you show up. So that's all I'm going to say for now. We will get you next steps. We'll have all the websites of all their organizations. You know, just send money to start with, man. That's a good place to start. So we can hire some more folks to be out on the block. But love you guys. Thanks for showing up today. Thanks for actually listening to this or watching this. And may God bless you, increase you, especially your compassion, especially your hunger for truth and righteousness. And may we see our city become, like Donovan would say, not Chirac, but Jerusalem.